Chillers with Neko, Lelino Gaba, Mr. Titiba, Domlambo. Legend. Legend.
Wow.
Legend, man. Twangu Mr. Tulani, Mr. Tools. Khudman Ndala. Legend. Unjani Khudman yam? Unjani Khudman?
Hey, I'm good, man. Yeah, Billy today. Sober. That's the most thing. That's how I always depend on it. Because Opila Gom is actually being sober, you know. So yeah, I'm sober.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Talking about being sober, let's put that aside. Otherwise, ngubani Tulani, ngubani Gaba, which is always what you always praise. Claim name yako up. By mnani Gaba, blah 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 and stuff and stuff. Ngubani Gaba, ngubani Mr. Tulani.
Look, Tulani is a young man. He's a dreamer. I'm an aspiring entrepreneur. Even though now I'm currently employed, but I see myself out there, you know, doing my own thing as an entrepreneur. In fact, to be specific, I see myself out there as a property investor. But I'm still, you know, venturing into that, learning more about that before I actually make it serious. I'm actually, as I said, I'm a dreamer. I'm someone that's a visionary. I'm someone that is sitting here thinking, you know, what does tomorrow have in store for me, you know? So Utulan is this energetic, you know, a lot of people know me as, you know, someone with a sense of humor. I talk too much. I think I get myself into trouble and out of trouble with my talking. So I'm always talking, you know, you can always find me talking about something, you know. I'm a sharer. I like to share, you know, how I feel, what I see, what I saw, you know, and what I think things, how I feel things are going to happen. So I'm that type of young man, you know. I'm a weird character to some because I'm not like the rest, you know. I always say,
Yeah, read.
yeah, I always say that God
Read.
mustn't make me the same because I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like them, you know. So I want to be a different kind of breed, you know. People must see me and say, there's something different about Lumchi,
Sure.
you know. And I think a lot of people see that in me, you know. Even though sometimes I've got, you know, I'm shy about it, but you know, the name cloning a little bit. But a lot of people do see that potential in me, and they want to know, man, what's going on? What are you thinking about? Because you know, I'm not just your ordinary man that is going to tell you about. I actually don't want savings. I feel like doing Indo for myself, you know, and I like people that also break the boundaries as well, like yourself, that does Indo that's not normal, you know, this is taboo.
Yeah.
A lot of places where you're gonna be like, what are you doing? You know, a lot of people are doing, you know, a lot of people are going to M7, you know, and you're setting up as it does happen, you know. So yeah, man, I'm that type of person, you know. I could go on for days about myself because I'm not, you know, boxed into anything, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so we could be talking and talking about any endong we've gone off the topic. So that's me, man. Yeah.
I think that's why he wants to need someone to not just
Yeah.
yellow bones. Yeah, we live in the you're
Awesome.
yellow bone. Not just in being yellow
Yeah,
bone,
man. Yeah.
but um, looking at your age, being in a space, or let me just put in a box of being a young person, young people, one of the young people that I looked up to, or put one of put in that I'm looking up to in Jongagobo for the next step going forward. You said you mentioned on Facebook on one of the medias, but you've been sober for 10 months now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I take me through it. What happened? When was this? Or 10 months ago? But what happened before the 10 months? Why?
Amen.
Why the reason? Because I believe that around about last year, you admitted due to COVID vibes, and then you came back. You were drunk, flipping drunk. Like I'm not. I can't remember the month that you after COVID.
Yeah, man. Those are the days. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Look. So last year, beginning of last year, this whole coronavirus thing came through. People were scared and whatever, and I wasn't scared. I was just going about my business, you know. So I'm your typical cheetah, come out of work, get a beer, you know, Friday, you know, Saturday, Sunday, chilikas, So I wasn't shaken up at this whole thing. So this one Sunday, I started getting my throat was sore, and I was sister Mikaeli was sitting there. I'm like, alarm is not, and I wasn't sick, but I was just like the whole time. So eventually on Monday I came back, went to work. I was like, I'm not feeling well, but I'll be fine because I've shaken these things off.
Yeah.
Sometimes we Kasimos, what I'm really short, right?
Yeah. Sanitize
Yeah,
umphakathi.
sanitize phakathi. So I tried the nonsense there. But by Wednesday I was not feeling well. I was like, yes, I'm not feeling well. So I went to work on Thursday morning. I realized my temperature was too high. I went to the doctor. Doctor's like, hey, I've got no choice. I'm gonna have to test you. Got tested. But when after I got tested, I went straight to bed and I was sleeping. I was like, yeah, I can go right. Friday morning, I was told that I've tested positive. That's when I knew, yeah, I'm positive because already I was just like, I was messed up already. So I sat and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm positive. I wasn't shaken by that as well, but I got worse and worse and worse. I think it hit me the hardest, eh? So when I went cool and I thought, you know what, I'll get over this, and I was fine. Everyone was worried. People thought I was gonna die. Well, I almost died, in fact.
Mm.
So I went to quarantine somewhere in the lagoon, booked into a hotel, Payana, chilled Payana for 14 days, and I came back. And guess what? Came back. I was like, hey, dude, God gave me another chance. So what? We're gonna celebrate, we're gonna drink. So
Yeah.
even though it was lockdown, we managed to go to access alcohol. The cellar, man, I was on like this roll. I started drinking all the time, and then I started working from home, which made things even worse because I had access to alcohol. I had money. I was on cellar all continuously. Eventually, I drank continuously up until when they questioned this whole thing of the banning of alcohol. Eventually, alcohol was not banned anymore. The liquor sales started. And I remember that's when it hit me. I drank for 2 weeks straight, sometime in August. I drank we had normal drinking on a weekend. On a Monday, I woke up, I was not well. My system at work was not working, so I was like, let me go drink. So I drank Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Saturday, I didn't drink so much. Sunday, I went in hard, and I was sick again on the Monday. Drank also Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. On Thursday, no, in fact, until Wednesday. On Thursday, tried to log into my system, it didn't work, blocked my system. So my manager calls me and says, you know what, you need to come to the office. I was like, okay, cool, I'll go to the office, it's fine. So I get to the office, remember, no one is there. I'm probably the only one that's sitting there.
Yeah, I remember the WhatsApp stuff.
So I sat there and I was waiting for my system to work, and I was sitting thinking, and I was hungover. Like, yes, sitting there thinking, the hell am I doing? Why am I like this? Yeah, well, couldn't shake the feeling, man, to say, why do I drink? But this voice kept saying, you must quit, you must quit, you must quit. I could tell you another story about this.
So no one told you to stop. No one said, you.
Yeah. So I'm a spiritual person. So I've got this thing as well that I hear things and
spiritually
I feel things. So I've been told a long time ago that I must stop drinking. Makulam comes through in a dream and tells me. I even have dreams of myself drunk, and I wake up and I'm scared. But I don't talk about those things because I'm always grand fair. I'm always in the vibe. When you're always in the vibe, you don't have time to sit up and talk about this. So I sat at work and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna quit drinking. Even though I stood up there when I left work and I bought alcohol and I came back and I drank again. I the following day I called a rehab that I know, and I said I want to book myself in. They said I must send through the necessary documents. On Saturday morning, I went to my doctor, Begrijffontein, and they did the referral for me, whatever. I sent it through by email.
You went to rehab?
Yeah. So they sent so the rehab, the medical aid confirmed that I can be booked in. Yeah. So on Monday morning, I booked myself into a rehab center at Bar. And when I booked myself into a rehab center, I remember sitting there thinking, looking at everyone that's there. I didn't compare myself to these guys, whether they were worse or better than me or whatever. But I realized that I don't think I belong here. So I was like, this is hectic stuff. And I vowed and I said to myself, I'll never ever go back to a rehab. But you saying to yourself, you'll never go back to a rehab, Doesn't mean you must come back here and say I'm gonna drink again, but I'll just not go back there. I told myself that I will never be in a situation when I'm
So there was a fight of
yeah.
there were voices fighting
my-
over
yeah. So the angel and the devil.
Hey.
But I told myself I'm never gonna be in a situation where I need to be rehabilitated again. And in order for that to happen, is that I must never drink alcohol again. Because alcohol is not a matter of there's nothing wrong with alcohol that I want to admit up front and say there's nothing wrong with the liquid of alcohol itself. It's the way that people consume it. It's the way that I consumed alcohol was wrong. And now that I've known better, I know that there's something called the obsession of the mind and the allergy of the body. So the obsession of the mind says to you, you can drink better than yesterday. So you wake up and you're like, yes, is there nonsense? Is all it's all nonsense. But then
always.
But then you come back to your senses. You're like, no man, but today I'm gonna drink better.
Convincing yourself.
Today,
speaking.
I'm gonna drink ciders today. That's the ciders. I'm not gonna drink it short.
And
then you eventually go back into that.
Do the same thing or twice.
Yeah, that's the obsession of the mind. The allergy of the body is that once you start, you can't stop. That's the allergy that I have. I don't crave alcohol, by the way. I only crave it once I put it into my. If I have one glass of alcohol, that's when my craving starts, because that's when I remind my system of this amazing feeling. Remember, when you consume alcohol, you have this amazing feeling. You feel better. You can hear. You're like you're in a vibe.
Yeah, you can hear angels speaking.
Yeah. So that's when your brain plays. That thing that you're having fun.
Just go more. Just go and do more.
You feel sexy. You're like, yeah.
Feel young.
Yeah, you're like, yeah. What's up? This is me.
Start,
me,
start getting pickup lines.
Yeah,
a lot of them.
Those things in your head. So I then told myself I'm not gonna go back to drink again. But the problem that I had at the time was that I was in a situation where I could not sit and not drink. So I opted. I came back, took my stuff, and I went to go stay with my sister at Khayelitsha for 6 months. That is from August, from September till end of December. I sat there and I literally did nothing for 6 months. I sat there in Lini and I just worked. I had my PC there. Just came out of the house, went to the office, worked, came back there, played with my kids for 6 months. And for 6 months, it was just confusing for me. Like, what do I do now? I'm not drinking. I've got this money, because you also have excess money. The money that you used to drink with tea. I sat there and I didn't know what to do with myself till I then had to. I realized, what? Let me reach out to the fellow people that are going through the same thing that I'm doing, and that's Alcoholic Anonymous. AA. I started getting into the groups. Started getting into the meetings. Brother Am referred me to his childhood friend, and he's been pushing me to join meetings. And I haven't been good at doing this, but I sit in the meetings and I hear similar stories about how these guys are also drinking, what they did to quit. Some guys have gotten worse, and I sat there. But yeah, I went through that journey. I got to know myself better. When you find out more information about the way that you are, it makes you feel better. You're like, I understand my condition now. I understand that I can't drink. I understand that I don't crave alcohol until I take the first drink. I understand that, I can't be in a situations where I'm under pressure, cool, because the next thing my mind pushes me to.
So the first step was to say to yourself, like, look, I don't need alcohol.
The first step, even in the 12 steps of AA, is you must admit to yourself and to God that you are powerless when it comes to alcohol. So the admitting, the way that you phrase it is right. You have to say I have to tell myself, admit to myself and God, that I'm powerless over alcohol. And it doesn't mean I'm weak. That's also it doesn't constitute of when you are weak. You're just powerless over alcohol. You can never drink alcohol because you spiral down the wrong road. And I could be sober for 10 months. I've gotten my stuff together. I've gotten a lot of things that I've done now. But I could lose everything in like 2 days.
If you can get one
glass. If I can have like a drink, now. And I've got a lot to, when you give up, alcohol, you give up one thing to gain everything. When you drink
Oh.
alcohol, you give up everything for one thing. And you must know that equation. That equation, if you lose it, you're gonna make a big mistake. Because alcohol is one thing in your life, and there's everything else. There's your family, there's your kids, there's your job, there's your
And
friends,
you have
there's your
two
church.
kids.
And
And
so
actually
for
you have
me,
two beautiful kids.
yeah, thanks, man. So I'm now the younger into brother, I can't and I can quasi the feeling that I have right now.
But you even though back then, I'm not saying go back to drinking.
Yeah.
Even back then, you were supportive to the
No, definitely.
beautiful two
I
daughters.
was. No, look, a lot of things that when I was drinking, I had together. I did a lot of things right. I supported my family, my mom. I did everything. I went to work. I did as long as but it wasn't the best that
For
I
your
could
body,
do.
for yourself.
Yeah, it wasn't the best that I could do for myself and for everyone else. Onini, why would you want to give let's say let's say your mom, why would you want to give your mom the minimum of yourself?
Oh,
Why would you want? Because when you do the bare minimum, it doesn't mean
you're
you're the
doing
best guy
it.
ever,
Yeah.
But you can do the best. Imagine doing the best, for your mother. Imagine being fully, there for your for someone that needs you. You know, that's the one thing that you need to do. So yeah, Fetu, that's my story with regards to that. But what you need to also realize is that when you are sober, there's a lot of decisions that you make that could potentially take you to places where that's unimaginable, places that you never thought you could be in. So for me, being sober is not a matter of just not drinking alcohol. This is not about not drinking beer or I'll eat brandy or whatever. There's way more to this than just partying.
It was
For me,
just, it's just about the glass. It's
it's
about,
not about the alcohol. Look,
uh,
this was never about the alcohol. This is about me. This is about my future. This is about what I potentially be, who I could potentially be if I'm sober. If you wake up on a Monday morning excited to take over the week, and you must understand that my older brother always said, every day that you drink, you go back one day. What he means is that every day you drink, the next day you're useless. So that day when you are useless, you could have been doing so much. But so it means that you go back in your life in terms of productivity, in terms of progression, in terms of success, you go back. Because that one day where you could have been doing indoor, that could change your life, or you could have been applying for Misebenzi, or you could have been applying for tenders if you do that, or you could have been applying for whatever that you are for school or for bursaries or whatever. You didn't do on that day because we are the papalas. So you've missed out on a lot. That's 24 hours of gone down the drain where you
so,
were not productive.
so, uh, if you could, I believe, Umdoga 91 or not 80.
Yeah.
If you could be given maybe 10 minutes to tell I'm a 2018 going from 1991 to 2000.
21.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, 21. From 1991 to 2000s, given 30 minutes, what could you say? What would you say? Just 10 minutes.
Faith,
Let's say you're given 10 minutes.
all I would say to people out
I mean, I'm talking about the future of the
there.
country now.
Yeah, well, those guys, yeah, those guys. All I would want to say is that you have a lot of time to have fun in this world. There's a lot of time to have fun, but you must use that time correctly. I made the mistake, and tell you now, one of the things that I always think of is that I made the mistake of thinking that I must have fun now than later. I didn't concentrate in school, in high school. I dropped out of university. Eventually got myself into a job. A lot of other jobs that I had, I eventually quit. I've never been fired. I've always walked away from situations. I was like, whatever. So I've always done that. So if I at that time I had focused, how it would be my time now to have fun. One thing I can tell you, when you are into your 30s, is the best time to have fun if you are productive in your 20s. You can't have fun in your 20s and expect to be productive in your 30s. Because remember, you're growing older. You're getting slower, you're getting fatter in some cases. You're getting, things are not, you're not
As
as
you were
young
before.
as you are. So start with being productive, get your school sorted, get your own yakho sorted out, and then later on in your life you can chill with a glass of wine, glass
So
of
you're saying
whiskey.
there's time for everything.
It's time for everything.
Just need to prioritize your
Just
time.
need to prioritize that.
Ah.
Like now, this is the time that I should start to drink if my life had been slightly different, you know.
And you're
But I
done now.
chose that time. I don't regret anything about my life, by the way. But because this is supposed to be a life story, this is the way it's supposed to be, And I believe a lot of guys that realize their mistakes at a later stage in their life become very successful. Maybe later on in your life where you're in your 40s and your 50s, but there's nothing wrong with enjoying in your 40s as well or in your 50s. Success comes whenever it comes. It's success. It doesn't. The value of success doesn't drop. The value of success doesn't drop because you got it in your 50s and over someone who's got it in their 20s. Success is success. So for me, this is a journey that I've taken now to say, I need to go back now. Now I'm going in arrears to go check. I need to go back to school now. I need to fix my life. I need to do those things. And I'm in a journey of doing that. Past 10 months, bruh, I did things in 6 months that I couldn't do in 20 years.
Oh. So the 10 months has been productive to
crazy.
you.
It's been grinding. This 10 months has been crazy. People view me differently in this 10 months. I've had a lot.
I have gained weight.
I've gained a lot of weight because I eat a
Okay,
lot.
nice.
I'm sitting at home most of the time for So when I sit here,
Drink a lot of water.
When I sit here, I'm like, let me take a sandwich break. So I eat a lot when I sit up in So you can trust that. But
So-
you know what? The next chapter of my life will come, and maybe the next chapter is to go to the gym.
Sure.
And the next chapter from there on is to go back to school. And the next chapter from there on is to do something, is to start my business. And the next chapter from there on is to do this and this. So for me, I say there's one day at a time. You can focus on one thing and then get that done, and focus on something else, get that done, and you realize that in 2 years' time you've done so much things that you didn't do in the past.
So there's no rush.
There's no rushing to this. Easy does it. They call it easy does it. One day at a time. Eventually things will get right. Eventually you'll get yourself right. There's a lot of things I don't know as well, but now, like this is how I'm a teen. There's a lot of questions that I don't have answers for, but I pray, man. Yeah, the turners I'm a staunch believer of God.
Ohili. Yeah.
So I'm a staunch believer of umakhulu. I grew up. I can tell you a story as a little kid. When I was six or five, and I used to the Eastern Cape toilet pan. I used to hold umakhulu by the hand. He walk it close to the toilet, and then the near kitchen go to the toilet and wait there for her. Take her out, go back into the house. And she was blind for a couple of years. And I used to sit with this blind woman in the house during the day, and we used to sell cigarettes and chips. And I still remember this like it was yesterday. So I didn't know money. I couldn't count. So into I answer is that but I take money and this way. And she used to feel it in the sand. Like whatever change I totally unique. And then the change was never wrong. So I used to sit there, and eventually, I got the hang of things as well. And I used to sit there with her. We used to have conversations.
So you're a mama's boy.
She used to say, I am actually. And she used to say to me, and Makuluam was very close to my heart. I'm still even close to my mom now. I found him now. My mom first. My mom first. My mom first. I feel him now. I'm not even apologetic about that. I'm not like, mom, mama, and that's it. Being Mtaka mama doesn't make me a less of a husband, less of a father. I'm just as affectionate, towards my kids.
And then in the point of kids, you are blessed with a boy and a girl.
Same time, twins, yeah.
God.
Crazy, eh?
It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's for me that's
crazy.
and
How do you?
That's also very weird in the sense,
Yeah.
in the sense that my kids, My kids fail to like something like my kids. I will forget everything but my kids.
Not them.
I fail to my. Like I'm now. I've walked out of this house so many times in the mall, just thinking, and I've come back with packets full of clothes, kids.
Shit.
And I'm like, "Oh, and then, because my kids come first to me. My
So a
kids.
part
They
of
know.
you.
Say to my kids, I can sit with my kids as a father. Most fathers don't even know that. I can sit with my kids for a full weekend. We will fight through the processes. Yes, they'll be crying and fighting and all that. But most of the things that will happen, Payan, is that we're gonna have a lot of fun. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna play. We're gonna dance. Me and my kids love music. It's a jive. It's a jive. It's tin. It's tin. It's tin. So we it's a nah. And that's all I do. I have nothing to do outside. But no very little friends that I can talk to. I talk to guys from the outside of Elukshin and I go to chat with them. But I've got very little, interaction with people outside. So I sit there with my kids, and we play, watch cartoons, eat, sleep, and just chill. So yeah,
And it's tough. It's tough outside there because father figures kalago stage from age up and another.
yeah,
And
yeah,
if we lose a player, it becomes an issue growing up.
yeah. Obviously, can you imagine? Now I grew up without my dad.
I wish I had my dad was like you.
Yeah, I grew up without my dad. But for me, that never like for a lot of guys, gone about. I didn't have my dad. I feel I had my mom and my older brother. I can tell you now, that nigga was not missed. Like they
But
call me
Zimbogoto,
2015,
Zimbogoto manyana.
2014. They called me. My man, look at this weird thing. I was still staying with my sister at the time. 2014. So I got a call. I'm in bed. On 10 episode. Hi. Mom was like, oh, my older brother's like, when's that? I'm like, sleeping. He's like, oh man, look like when sleep dad passed away. And I was like, okay, bro. Because I didn't know what to say. My sister woke up, came to me and was like, are you fine? Guys, like he just told me a stranger passed away. And I'm supposed to like react.
I don't know him.
I don't want to lie. It only got emotional for me when we got there. I met the rest of my siblings, which put that as like by 20. Don't do all his kids. He had a load of kids. So when I got there, it got emotional in the sense, but this nigga, like he's been neglecting all of us, like song, you like an angry mob, and I'm like, is like, we sat there, we're like,
And he's gone.
and it's gone now. But the one thing that my older brother now is saying is that, you know what, we need to get everyone together, and sit and make sure that we don't become like him. A lot of guys, Fedu, a lot of habits get passed on very quickly. A lot of fathers are not good fathers because their fathers are not good fathers to them. A lot of people that abuse other people who actually abuse themselves. A lot of things that we do, we get from our parents. A lot of people that drink
Transferred.
because their parents drank. A lot of people, we see things from our parents and I always say one thing now. You can say whatever you want to your kids. And remember, I posted this thing and I said, kids react more to what you do than what you say.
I think 2 weeks back.
Yeah. Kids react more to what you do than what you say. So you can't be doing that. You're telling them that you are upset, but you've got a glass of alcohol in your hand. That's nonsense. Your kids react more to what you do than what you say. I don't care about Batini, but I don't blame anyone for my drinking, but I saw drinking and I was like, this is cool for me. I can do this thing like, yeah, it's a vibe. So I really don't. My kids must just see me as Umdunji. I don't want to become a boring guy. I don't want to be a boring dad. I'm not serious. I sit with people that drink and I sit with them. Okay, fine.
As long as I limited English.
And then I was like, hi guys.
That's how I met you. Speaking English. I want to know that just cause.
No. But yeah, man. Yeah.
So having, let's say, because there will be a time in the life of Londono Mazano specifically where you'll need to speak in I head. There will be a time if you haven't, if I believe around about 12, 13, I think there's a required time where a father specifically needs to speak with a daughter and say, look, whatever the case might be, can be given a chance when Khalilutin or Khalilutin we can let's say Goms I've been at 12 years. Or I've been happy to saying, look, umbone now there are things as in ngoku as allow like let's say youth age or adolescent vibes, 13, 14 vibes.
I think another one thing that I want to do, besides talking to her, is to firstly put my kids in a situation where they don't have the pressure that they would have at the Lokishi. I have nothing against Lokishi. I have nothing against whatever that's happening in the Lokishi. But I think if I, as a father, I owe my kids a better environment. I think I owe my kids a better home where they can sit and not have the pressure of going outside. I think I owe my kids a better education, so I get them into proper schools. I think I owe my kids to be an example of myself. You know what? A lot of kids that have to be sat down, are usually kids where everything else doesn't talk to what you're gonna say to them. You know, abandwana, what they one thing they will do is they will experiment. If your kid, if umntana wakho uvuka ekuseni apha endlini ugqibela aphume phandle, just know that uzawufunda phaa phandle. You must create an environment for your kids where they don't need to leave. They can have fun up. Your kids can have friends, but it shouldn't be the first priority. So for my kid now, whenever I get to a point, maybe I would have to sit them down. The first thing that they need to know is that with action comes consequences. You don't need to be specific with your child. Kids know these things, especially girls. They mature very quickly. With actions comes consequences. I think that's the only thing your kids know.
Those fucking rights comes with responsibilities.
So if I'm telling you, that's not necessary. Your actions come with consequences, and you must be able to know that the consequences are not going to always be nice. If you study for your tests, consequences that you're going to pass. If you don't study, consequences that you're going to pass. So if you do things right, you can never stop Mndana wako from
experimenting
or whatever. Yeah. And there's social media. They meet people on social media and all these things. You need to just be there for your kid and just say, I'm not going to allow you to be on Facebook. Okay, like for instance, my kids, I'm not going to allow my kids to have cell phones until the age of 10. For instance, I think that's the best age for them to have actually own a device. There's other devices that you can use. There's those watches that you can put SIM cards in, then you can call your child. You don't necessarily need to have them a cell phone. Your kids can have tablets, yes, to read and write and learn, all these things. But they don't need to have cell phones for social media. They don't need to be communicating with anyone outside of this house. I'm here. Talk to me. Yeah, I'll give you whatever.
Because you have created that environment
for them. So I think it's for my kids. That's the only thing I want to do. Just move them out of APA, make sure they're living in a nice space. And even Vedu, I don't want to lie. Like I live in a one room, you can see, but my kids hardly leave this room. Like I've made it so much comfortable for them. The first thing my kids get here, I put on cartoons. Get them run them sit them on the couch, and I treat my kids the way that I don't want them to transition in like a cool when we move from Aba, because we're gonna move from Aba. I'm gonna buy that house this year as well, But I want them to get into the norm. Wake up in the morning, brush your teeth, wear your socks. Have over get your hair done. Abang will tell you even before they eat it, day 3, but they will say to Didi, because they know that's the routine. And me, girlfriend, we sit there and we all brush our at the same time. Oh, this is how things are supposed to be, So it's that's the vibe that I want to create for my kids, man. One of the biggest reasons, one of the reasons that's up high for me to quit alcohol was actually to say, I want to be the best.
Attention. Give them attention.
I want my kids to say, our dad
did all the best he could.
I want my kids to sit there and say, if Umdana wako sengxakini today, the first person they must think of is the dad. Umdana wam must not say, sengxakini, uxela abantu. Like, how does your child even say that? The first thing your child says, even if we're wrong, let's say I'll make an example, then I'm sneaks out of the house and something happens. So your child should say, I'm gonna call my dad, he's gonna come pick me up. Whatever problem that we have, but don't worry, guys, my dad is gonna sort it. Not because you are bragger, but they know that I'm a problem solver. You can't be a problem to your kids. I mean, you must be a solution to your kids, your family, your mom. Mama kufuneka athi, "Mfana uZana, uzayisota manje le yonke, belula." Your mom can't say, "Hey, problem kanjani uZana." That's
You need to
because
think
then
of umakhelwane
yeah,
instead.
cala kumakhelwane, miyeke lo, cala kumakhelwane. So you don't want a situation in Jala. You want to be, I want to be a solution to not even to my kids, to the world. I sat here and I'm thinking that I would love to actually like chip in on other people's kids and say, what is your
Just for a second.
iyafunda iyapasa le ntwana ifunda grade 12 simuorganizele isikolo for nini siye for simuorganizele isikolo so that people can one day look at me and say this man changed my life. Not that I want people to go around talking about me, but I want to have this influence on people that says, this guy actually pushed me to be. I wouldn't have been without this because I feel like I want to be Lando that I never had. I never had someone that I look into and say, hey, Fundina, I really want to. I have very successful older brothers. They did everything for me and all that. And they've taken their part in terms of how they got their success and everything. And I've looked up to them, as well. And I said, my brothers are quite successful, but I want to be Lamchi, that comes to mind. And
Yeah.
and a lot one of Thomas Monte actually said that about me, that it would come to mind. And I
All
like
the
that. I want to
time.
when I need something done, tools, and he calls me, whatever, we do this thing and we get it sorted out. So I want to be Jalo, even you, even to whoever. If you can pull strings from
Yeah.
that. And for me, I sleep better at night to say when I actually help someone today, to become better, because we cannot isolate ourselves when we are successful and sit at home and be like, let's chow this,
Yeah.
let's chow this.
Yeah.
I believe that the day that I become successful, the day that I have a lot of money, people's lives must start changing. People's life. Otherwise, then I miss the point.
That's the time when you notice like I'm successful now.
Because people rely on me.
People like
People can say, "But phone tools, tools is our go-to guy. Tools is our no, and we do because at the end of the day, if we all selfish about if you're selfish about the podcast, then how does it help anyone? You know, if you're selfish about getting information out or giving information or putting people on a platform or giving just like a space to be able to do what they need to do, then
what's the use of it?
yeah, it doesn't play any role for it. You should want to say for it, I'm going to set up this thing and we're going to go talk to the youth of Cryfonday and find out what's wrong.
Volugate.
Yeah, what's wrong? What do you need in your life? Because someone could be listening, like me, to tell you. So for me, I think one of the reasons why you should be doing is and should be saying, I want to help people. And if you don't want to help people, then shut down.
Oh, okay. So moral of the story is to channel opportunities for other people's growth.
Yes.
How powerful.
You need to. One of the things that I always say is that I hope that when God blesses me, I don't run away with the blessing. I hope that when God blesses me, I become a blessing to others. To a point where people actually, don't see me as Umdu. I never want to be worshipped. I never want to have money and walk around like, it's it. I want to come and chill with Abanaba Sokola and listen to what problems they have. I'm not going to do that all the time because maybe I might not have the time. But when I do have the time, say, what's wrong? What's going on? Okay, so how do we resolve the way? And resolve, if you help one person the whole year, you've made a difference. Even if it's one person for the full year, you've made a difference. Abantu out there are waiting to be pushed in the right direction. Some people have all the potential, but they just need to be like, and
smoothly
changes. Yeah, that thing changes the movement. And I realize that they get that boost and they're like, hey, and get more
without judging.
Without, Abantu, some people make mistakes right through their lives. And at the age of 50, they realize, hey, I
messed up.
And they need that pat on the back. What's wrong with it? Our grandma. And when they do this thing, abe grand, izinto zabo fethu ziyatshintsha fethu. Like they become different people. It might be late in their life, but everyone deserves a chance fethu, to be given an opportunity to do something, to be given an opportunity to be someone else, or to be the person they've always wanted to be. Because fethu, I sit elokishini sometimes and I think amajita, hey, the outie man, lena man, the outie could be something fethu. Ah, he just doesn't see the
Need a
need.
team or a
Yeah, he's
boost.
sitting there, he's like, so the man say they had to have, like we just man, we blend in, man, say elephant in Ghanam, But if you put it, when I pulled out of drinking, I stood alone. Yes, this is crazy. Everyone, when I go down to like
So
everyone is like,
what I'm taking from what you're saying now, investment, it's not just about money.
no,
Time,
no.
just it.
Yeah,
Just time.
investment could be words.
Or just by listening to someone.
Even that,
Oh, okay.
even words. Like, hey, Philip and schooling, natural 10. I'm content work of it. I'm details.
Come in.
That guy passes metric. That guy gets another nice job. That guy changes his family's life. That guy gets his kids into a better school. And the cycle of poverty is broken. Yeah. One slight shift, and everything else changes. Because the problem about a man is that they think success. I'm successful in my own way. I've been
Sure.
successfully. I haven't drank 10 months. Some people are trying to not drink for about 2 days.
That's because by the time,
Yeah.
That's because by the time,
Yeah. But I'm
normally
just trying
happens.
to say,
Normally happens.
we need to, as Ikasi as a whole, we need to just tap each other on the shoulders. Hey, what's wrong? What's going on? Because some people, even with business ideas, people are like, no, Fisher. I've got the biggest problem now. When I've got an exciting idea, I tell people, and people always judge me when it doesn't work out. But they think I'm get affected by a lot of nonsense. And I'm like, I'm on to the next thing. Aeroplane, airport.
Always associate your Gaba clean name with flying things.
Yeah, it's a
flipping flying things. I always laugh alone.
I always say Ogaba are a conglomerate. A conglomerate, for those who don't know, is a multinational company. I saw my brother. I looked at the picture of my brother at the New York Stock Exchange. I was like, we are in conglomerate now. We are multinational clean name now.
Covered.
We are there. We've made it. And for me, you know what? A lot of people laugh at me because I've never been overseas. I said to them, I haven't been overseas, fine. But I saw my brother there. That makes me feel good. Success for me is not about personality thing. It isn't just like success for me is like, except one man landed a job. That's success for me. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me having everything to myself like Yong. Success for me is my brother. Is my brother landing a deal? Is my colleague? Yeah, we're getting another job. It's
promotion,
my niece getting married again. That's success for me. It's like success stories. Those are they belong to me, even though those things are not happening to me. It's a success story. That's success for me. I don't want to sit here and be like, yeah, only things when it happens to me and don't. Because then I'm better. Then it means I'm just I'm not. It's all about me. I want you to succeed. I want people. Let's tell stories of success for me. Even if it's a story of success, Sako, is for you getting a job, Pick n Pay. That's a success story for me. Because the man
is a salary on a month, on a weekly basis.
Changes your life. So for me, I don't know. That's success stories for me. Though. I sit here, I'm like, do it.
Let's go.
I love reading stories about successful people. I read. We're talking about Mayweather now.
Yeah.
I sit here and read stories about people making money. I was telling someone the other day.
Uselessly so.
I read the story about Discam. People don't even know the story of this. Two colored London couple started nursing a pharmacy. They went to go study pharmacy at the time. That women are not allowed to study. Women are not allowed to be pharmacists, but that lady went to go study pharmacy anyway, and they were working for this guy, this white guy who owned a pharmacy, and he was retiring, and the guy offered to sell it to them, and they bought it, and then they were selling medication. And that's it. It's just because a standstill. It took them close to 20 years to discover that. In Nansika, pharmacists don't have to just sell mayeza. You look at most pharmacists, they sell
Yeah,
everything else
everything.
but a mayeza. And you look at it, and I saw the story, and I was like, this is a success story, and they're now trading in the JSE. Some idea like you start a business idea with your girlfriend, and it becomes something crazy.
Something
You look at the
crazy.
Ferguson films. You look at all these success stories, and you're like,
Yeah, but our girlfriends don't want to support us.
I don't know, man. Is that the case?
Yes,
Is that
just
the
the
case?
case.
Because have you pitched that idea to your girlfriend Nyako that she must support you, or have you said, baby, start a business?
But she's around. She sees you. She sees you hustling, going up and down.
But I've done that.
It's the matter of
Say to
should
women-
you say?
Say to women are the foundation of businesses.
Sure.
I tell you now, I've got a side hustle that I'm doing, and Mama Mom is running it mostly herself.
Sure.
Even though it was my idea, she's running it herself.
She's beautiful though.
She's
She's a yellow bone. You like yellow bones?
so for me, I'm like, hey, I don't know, So pitch it to your girlfriend, but let's run a business, baby, and just see how it's gonna go.
Cool. Otherwise, Madubuyile treated his bag.
Disturbed by electricity.
Disturbed.
Yeah.
Otherwise, thank you very much, Mr. Tulani Okawa.
I like
I
the
think
picture.
Bamengenya.
Yeah, I like seeing myself on your phone.
So it was Chilas today. See you the next time, man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Boom.
Malo. So yeah, thanks guys.
Boom.